And we are back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Start It Up. My name is Antonia Castro, also known as Tony Tone. It is a pleasure to be here with you all today. And I am, of course, in the room with incredible people, Double A, Arnie, Kenny Ken, and they'll go ahead and introduce themselves in just a minute. But today we are really going deep and talking about the impact that Nifty has done to us, the journey, the entrepreneurship mindset that we have, and the passion that we have to really create an impact in our community. Welcome back, Arnie. Please take it away. Let's get this
Wow.
started.
What a comment to make as far as how, Nifty has impacted my life personally and professionally. Wow.
It's not an easy
I'll make
task.
it brief. It's not because, I've been with Nifty for over going on close to 20 years. I've been in and out of Nifty as an employee, part-time worker, as a consultant.
And you
And
don't
now
look a
back
day
full
over
time. Hey,
35.
listen,
Look
I
at
know.
thank you
What's
very much.
the secret?
Hey, well, I didn't give my
He
age from the
is
first
bouncing
place.
of
Hey, listen, okay, yeah, I'm 38. How about that?
What's the secret, my brother?
Hey, no, listen, it's Nifty. Nifty's the secret. That's what it is. You got to be a
All
part
right.
of Nifty, But listen, Nifty has impacted my life so much because when I first started with Nifty, I started a nonprofit organization, kind of sort of in honor of my stepdad, because he was very influential in my life as far as my work habits, just being able to understand what it means to be an entrepreneur. Before I even understood what the word meant, my dad used to flip houses, and being with him and learning how to, again, work with my hands and, build something and then sell it. I learned good work ethic. So when I got a little older, I wanted to do something for my community by teaching others what my dad had taught me when it comes to work ethic. So one day, as I'm doing some paperwork, and with I started a nonprofit to do just that. It was a career service type of organization where we would help kids fine tune their professional skill sets, their soft skills. My wife came into the room and she handed me this book. And she said, baby, she said, this guy stole your idea is what she said. This guy stole your idea. And I was like, give me that book. Give me that book. I read that book from front to end. It was Steve Mariotti's first book. I think it was one of his first books. And I forget the title. But anyway, I read the book and I said, man, this guy stole my idea. He really did, right? Like, I felt that way. As an entrepreneur, you don't want to give away your secret. But anyway.
And Steve was the one.
Yeah, I called the number in the back, the 212 number, the Wall Street number. And when I called, I wanted to order more books for like a book club. I wanted my students to read the book and understand more about entrepreneurship, and Steve's story in the book is fascinating.
Oh, gosh, yeah. We have to start to see if we can bring Steve in because his story is actually really cool.
Yeah,
In the past, I've heard the story and it always changes. So I want to hear from his mouth because there's certain things.
Yeah, that's true.
You didn't say that last time.
That's true. That is true. But anyway, I'll only take a few more seconds. But I called the number and I said, listen, I want to order more books. I want to give them to my students. I run a nonprofit organization. It's kind of like a professional service skill set. I learned to become an entrepreneur now that I know the word, right? And the program manager of Nifty was on the other end. And he says, listen, we're short of a judge on Saturday for a business plan competition. Would you mind coming in and substituting? Because I gave him my history, my background, and what I was doing. And I really didn't want to go to New York at that time. I wasn't really, a New York fan. But I came in, and just to end on this, I judged a business plan competition, and I was floored. And I said, wow. I said, how can I get my students to do what this organization is offering these other students? And I had a talk with Steve. I met Steve. I met the program manager. I met the executive director at the time. They told me there was an opportunity to start an alumni service there at the Wall Street office. And long story short, I applied for the job and I got it. And that's how I got started with Nifty. So I've been a Niftyite all this time, over 20 years. I've been a Niftyite, it's like I love it. I couldn't have asked for a better job because it's my heart, my soul, and my purpose is actually being demonstrated in my work. And that's it for me. That's
Yeah,
it for
but
me.
you
Maybe
came in
Tony, take
and
it
you
over because I
left
can
for a
talk all
little
day
bit.
about it.
But
What was
Kenny,
that?
you worked for Arnie, right? There's a point where
Oh
you were
yeah, tell her
working.
that's right.
You
That's right.
were
That's right.
Yeah, at
there's a
some
point,
point.
and I'm only
Yeah.
want to say
That's
this
right.
because now they have to introduce in the past their titles, but I remember the story and I thought it was the funniest. Kenny worked for Arnie, and then
That's
of
right.
course
As a
things
consultant. Yeah.
happened, and Arnie left. The program didn't continue anymore. Fast forward a couple years later, alumni services are back in, they're running, they're growing. People had to be moved to the global sector. Then all of a sudden, Kenny is out here like, okay, I'm going to take over the alumni program. And then we're like, now we need more help. And here it is, Arnie back. You see, it was
Yeah.
meant to be that
Full
y'all had to
circle. Full
just
Full
circle.
full
circle, man.
circle
Full
moment.
circle. Full
But like
circle.
Kenny, go ahead and share your story because I feel Kenny is
Good.
just, and I've known Kenny for, oh my gosh, about
It's
8
been
years
a
now?
while. About
Maybe
7, 8. Yeah.
about
Well,
7 to 8 years now.
about 7. Almost 7. Yeah.
Mhm.
Almost 7 years. But I've known you a lot longer because I've seen you on video. So I've seen you on videos way before I met you. So you were
Yeah,
doing videos for Nifty, and I can't wait till you tell your story. But the power of storytelling is what drew me to this organization, right? Like the way this organization started and the stories that continue to be birthed from this, from the work that we're doing in entrepreneurship education, and
and of
just the
course as
vibe of
POC, like
entrepreneurship
people of
education.
Mhm.
color, we always
Yeah,
add a little extra seasoning because I've heard Steve Mariotti like story like 3 different times, like
yeah,
he got jumped, and then I
Oh,
was like, no, he
funny.
only got robbed, and I was
right.
like, wait, what's the real story? And I was like, yeah, no, they chased him, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah, but hey,
so
we
it's
have
always
to
a
do
little
another
extra.
podcast on that one.
Yeah, we
We'll
got
do
to
a
do a whole
podcast on that
different
one.
podcast on that one. So stay tuned, y'all, for that podcast. But it was interesting because as a teenager, what drew me to this, to the vibe of entrepreneurship education, like I saw myself in a lot of the young people that we were helping, right? And so a lot of the
Mhm.
young people that we help, are in situations that they didn't ask to be in, right? They have to show resilience every day to just make it through the day.
They're born with that
And
hustle.
yeah, and they fight. And so
Mhm.
I saw myself in that because when I was a teenager, I didn't grow up with a father. I grew up in Queens, New York. Shout out to Queens. Big up to Queens. And I was really inspired in the neighborhood I grew up in because, from Queens was like LL Cool J, Russell Simmons, Damon John and the Fubu guys. They were all in
Mhm.
the same area, and the list goes
Wow.
on. It was a lot more. And so I was always inspired by, the fashion, the creativity, the hip hop that was around me. And but as a teenager, growing up without a father, you're already kind of like trying to figure things out on that
Yeah.
end. You're not processing right. And then when I was
Yeah.
a junior in high school, unfortunately, I lost my mother to cancer. And so by senior year of high school, I was parentless and not really sure, what the future held. And the only way I made it through that, really, I mean, there was a number of factors, but it was community. Like people just like who knew my family and really cared about me stepped in and just made sure that I was like, no, you're going to make it. You're going to get to the next step. Right.
Wow.
And so, and so naturally, though, when you're missing some of those resources, human capital in your life, you have to dig deep. You have to be resilient. You have to find that grit. You get humbled really quickly. And so long story short, I became entrepreneurial. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. My post-secondary, life after high school wasn't
Mhm.
linear and straight lined. I had to figure things out. I wanted to do this one day and do that the next day, right? So, while I was around 2021, I started a fashion business with my business partner, and right there in Queens. And so we started a fashion company. We did fashion shows. I dressed a lot cooler back then, so but that entrepreneurial spirit was
Right.
birthed, and then it was during one of the fashion shows. Someone invited me. Someone from the YMCA came to one of those events we were doing, and they were like, "Hey, what do you think about teaching entrepreneurship to young people?" And I was like, "I don't have no clue how to do that. I didn't even know I was doing entrepreneurship, and I really
Wow.
didn't know anything about teaching curriculum, nothing." So
Mhm.
I actually said no to the opportunity, and they just persisted. They wouldn't let it go. They felt I could be a really good, and I was like, okay, let me try it. And long story short, it was in that process of someone rejecting my no because I didn't feel I had imposter syndrome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could. I didn't think I could really do this.
Yeah, I get that.
So, and they rejected that, and so, and if it had not been for them being persistent with me, if they had just said, listen to my no the first time and would have just left me alone, I wouldn't be here, today and had the journey I had in entrepreneurship education.
Bless your life. Whoever's out there, if you see this, bless your life. Okay, we would not be here, amazing. Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny, so it sounds like the marketing material got to you too, huh?
No, yeah, but it was later. It was later. I came across, I was like, man. Well, and it was later someone introduced me through the work I did at the YMCA. They introduced me to Nifty. And I didn't know anything about Nifty. I was trying to figure out everything on my own. And voila, once I saw Nifty and, the aspect, I was like, wow, same thing.
This is
like
it,
you already, when you saw it, it was like,
I saw it. I was like, yo, this is it.
I need to be part of this. And and I stayed the whole time. Like that was 2004. I came across Nifty. It's 2023, so you could do the math. We've done so many different things. So I'm on staff now, but I was a consultant for about 10 years. But I was a fan first. I was a believer first.
And thank God for it, man. Thank God for it because that's how our paths cross. And
impact.
That's right.
And you had different roles, right, Kenny? You were first.
Yeah.
You were a consultant. You were training teachers.
For about 10 years, I trained teachers, but I've done a lot of stuff in between for Nifty. Like just so much. Then I came to LA, and that's where I met you and heard your story. So we gotta get. This is a perfect layup tag for you because when I came to LA, I remember seeing videos with you. In our presentation videos, we would share with teachers and students across the country. So when I moved to LA, I was like, wait. I know her. I've seen her in all the videos. Like, that's her.
And all the videos.
And so I'm going to tag you because, what's up with your story? How'd you come across all this? And what were you
y'all see, this is the thing. You guys were a fan of Nifty. I was not. Because my story started differently. I was like, dang, now.
Oh, my goodness.
But I am now. Now I'm in it forever. I started, and that's where I met Kenny when I became an intern. But before that, Nifty was an extracurricular in my school at that time. I was in high school, my senior year of high school. My first semester I was taking piano, but I have teeny tiny little boy hands, and so I hated piano with my guts. And I told my counselor, and I was like, I don't want to take it another semester. I'm done. I will sit every single day and be in your office until you move me from that class. The only thing we have open is a business class. It's an extracurricular. It's Mr. Palencia at that time was teaching it, and he's all like, it's a business class. And I was like, I don't care. I just don't want to take piano anymore. That's not my thing. I don't want to be there. I literally, and I'm going to send this to Mr. Palencia too, walk into that classroom, and there's this teacher, short and loud, and he comes up to me, he's like, how do you want to win $25,000? And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, this is a lot. So I was like, what do you mean? And I think it was that. He was in the second semester of the year-long program because he was teaching Nifty for a year. I come in second semester, and he's all like, how do you want to win $25,000? And I was like, is this a trap? Like, I'm just here because I don't want to be in piano. And that was my mindset. My mindset was like, I don't have to pass this class. Senioritis hit hard. And I was like, this is just extracurricular. If I fail your class, it's perfectly fine because I don't need it to transfer. I don't need it for school or anything like that. I'm solid. I just apparently have to be in a classroom at this amount of time. And I'm just like, I'm just here to like take up a seat. That's it. I'm not interested in all of this. I just need to take up a seat. And he's all like, we're going to change your mind. Little to known, I win in that classroom. I came in second semester, and he's all like, this is the idea. The idea is you start a business plan, you create something. And I've always been a little nerd in a teacher's pet. So I started doing the work. He got me into it. And I was going to be selling pastries, like Mexican pastries, churros, buñuelos, and stuff like that. And I was like, it's just the idea. And we go to a field trip, And they forget miscommunication. At that time, it was my beautiful, beautiful Estelle Reyes, Nadia, and Megan, and Betsy. And that's who was in charge of like the LA region. And between Mr. Palencia and the office, we didn't have a field trip, a bus. And so everyone was waiting for us. We got into everyone's car and we're like, Lord, please bless us. Let everything be insured. And we finally get to Pimco. And I had blisters in my hand, and Nadia's like, what's going on? Like, what happens? Like, oh, I'm a server and I have hot plates, and it's a hazard of the job. It's fine. Everybody has them. She's all like, girl, you're literally in a business class to create solutions for problems. This is it. And I'm like, wow, that's true. And I remember in that moment on the freeway, it was like an aha moment. And yeah, 2 weeks in before the actual like competition started, because we had the in-class competition and then we have the region competition, then we have the semifinals. I competed inside the classroom 2 weeks before. I go into my teacher and I was like, I'm changing my business idea. Girl, you're crazy. And I was like, well, it is what it is. I just want to change it. I change it. I win my classroom.
That's that serial entrepreneurship
right
there.
I'm just like, we're just gonna do it.
See what happens. Like, switch.
I switched the idea and I created a cool sleeve. That cool sleeve took me to regionals, and I won semifinals. And I remember looking back in semifinals and congratulating my partner. I was like, you got this. You did really good. Jose Garcia, which I'll also share this with him. And I was like, you won. He's all like, no, you won. And I was like, oh, wait, I won. And I was like, I won? And I couldn't believe it. And then they told me, hey, by the way, we're taking you to New York. And I was like, no, I can't go to New York. I was like, I can't do that because I can't travel. And again, I've mentioned this before, and I wear it with pride. I'm Mexican. I was born in Mexico, immigrated here to the States with my parents. But that was always a fear of mine. I was like, now I'm gonna get deported. Like, I can't travel. And it was literally at that time that the stars aligned and I got DACA. DACA by the Obama administration was approved, the DREAM Act. And so the defer action, and I was like, oh my God, I can actually go. And I got my permit. Wow. I think it was like a week before the trip. And I went to New York for the first time ever. Never gotten out on a plane. I'd never even been to Santa Barbara, let alone like get on a plane and go to New York. It was literally a little girl in Times Square. And I made it to New York. Of course, I made it to like the second round of the competition, but just the experience in itself. I think Mr. Palencia still to this day, it's been like 10 years now, and he still has like the check in his office of like, that's the girl who came in second semester and took it.
Yeah, and look at you now.
And look at me now. I became an intern.
And for Kenny and I, it's like we talk about this all the time about creating an ecosystem, for alumni services and post-secondary, where one of our goals is to build this network so that alumni like yourself can make a contribution either by way of being hired or coming
teaching, because that's how I did it.
Teaching. See? So
after I became a student, I then became an intern. And I met Kenny. There was a transition between the offices, and I met Kenny. And Kenny's like, I know you. And I was like, you know me? And he's like, yeah, I know you.
Well, just to let you know, when we were looking to hire an intern, Kenny was telling me about you. He was like, yo, it's this fabulous young lady, man. She's going to help us out, man. It's going to be great. We're going to be a great team. And look at us months later,
Yeah, so, it's wild.
So glad to have you.
But it is, and that's a journey of, and I think, and we're going to have an episode later on about us having a couple of other interns and alumni who are now on staff. But yes, it took me to become an intern working with Kenny, to then getting trained by Kenny, becoming a teacher, teaching the curriculum, and now I'm on staff and having this incredible podcast, and now having the opportunity to teach others in a more global aspect and sharing the word.
A beautiful thing. We love it.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing.
It really is. And we're just so excited. We truly are excited. With that, let's go ahead and give a round of applause to everyone here today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being here, because it truly is just such an incredible journey for all of us to be here in one screen.
And I wish we had more time. Because there's so much I want Because
well, they got to
So
tune
much.
in. They got to tune in.
Okay, okay.
We're going to have guests. We're going to have people sharing their stories, and I'm
Absolutely.
excited about this
And resources, so
podcast.
many
Yeah.
resources. If you are starting up your business, if you want to just get the idea, you found your community, you found the place. This is what Started Up is all about. We will all see you next time with just a little bit more pizzazz. And on the next episode, a little hint, we're going to be having a little blitz of pieces from a Shark member himself of just some advices to really all of y'all who are starting your businesses. But keep tuned in to hear that words of wisdom from an incredible, incredible community. So thank you so much.
Tony,
Yes.
let's end this way. On 3, start it up. 1, 2, 3.
Start it up.
Start it up.
Let's do it.